Hey, it's Shane from GotRom.com. This video is about how to 10x your flexibility. Stay tuned. In this video, I'm going to show you how I achieved the front, pancake, and middle splits against all odds. And you will also learn how you can use the same approach to build a flexible body in record time. How do I know these techniques will work for you? I've invested 14 plus years exploring human flexibility and mobility methods. I've also been teaching flexibility and mobility to thousands of athletes worldwide, and my online programs are helping over 20,000 people worldwide. I don't say any of this to brag. In fact, sharing such details makes me a little bit uncomfortable. However, I think it's important that you know I've been successful in helping people reach their goals, and I've identified several patterns, the 7 habits, that underlie all successful flexibility training programs. These patterns are the roadmap to accelerated flexibility gains. The 7 habits covered in this video are an overview of how you can 10x your flexibility. Each habit is part of a system of mobility and flexibility that I teach in all of my online programs at GotRom.com. Whether you're stiff as a board or already impressing people with your flexibility, the 7 steps outlined in this video will take you to the next level. So, let's dive right in. The photo that you're looking at is 4 years after I was told my hips were so tight and messed up that I was going to need surgery. To say that I was inflexible would have been an understatement. I have a condition called femoral acetabular impingement, or FAI. This means that my hip bones are poorly shaped and can cause major problems. I also have a damaged labrum and a cyst in my right hip. Most athletes with these conditions have severely decreased range of motion, lots of pain, and they end up needing surgery. I had all those problems, but I was determined to experiment in the gym in my house before opting for something so drastic like surgery. And my strategy worked. I never had surgery. Out of those personal explorations, I developed and honed the FAI Fix program for hip impingement, as well as the 7 principles in this ebook. These principles will put you on the fast track for accomplishing far more than you may have ever thought possible. Whether you can barely touch your toes or are 1 inch away from the splits, flexibility is a hard-fought battle. Progress is gained step by step. This is true for any physical cultivation, strength, endurance, etc. In fact, if you reflect on anything you've achieved, it likely happened in stages. Consider, those who set out to climb Mount Everest always begin with base camp. The next effort leads to base camp 2, and so on until the final climb to the summit. Similarly, if you're going to build a pain-free, flexible body that gives you the freedom to do the things you want to do, your progress is going to happen in the same way. Let's call that progress Mobility Mountain. That's Mount Everest in the photo you're looking at, and I've added 7 imaginative campsites that lead to the top. These campsites are the 7 habits that will lead to your own personal summit on Mobility Mountain. Each new habit will take you to the next stage of flexibility in your journey. Obviously, a habit is not something you just learn and you have it. It's something you install in your life, something you ingrain over time. This takes time. This takes work. But in this video, you will begin your journey up the mountain. If you're an absolute beginner to stretching and flexibility, you can start improving. Then it's up to you to keep the learning going and to do the work of turning each new practice into a habit. Installing any of these habits in your life gives results. Getting all 7 is magic. This is how you truly 10x your flexibility. We're going to dive deep into the 7 habits in this video, but for now, just know that each one of those 7 habits is a leverage point for accelerating your flexibility. Each colored column that you're looking at is a high leverage habit, something that will accelerate your progress. Even so, most athletes who train very seriously are rarely doing more than 2 or 3 of these habits. They may stretch for long hours and work very hard, but their training is not systematic enough. Might that be you too? Hours and intensity are no substitute for a systematic approach. Putting all 7 habits in place may be the best way to generate real momentum in your practice. And do you know why this is so important? Compounding interest is how the rich grow their wealth. Using a similar strategy, we can compound and accelerate our wealth of flexibility. Darren Hardy, the editor and publisher of Success Magazine, calls this the compound effect, and it applies to everything in life, not just finances. I know this sounds too good to be true, but I'm sure you've seen the compounding interest charts and graphs. And you probably also know the quote from Einstein about compounding interest being the most powerful force in the universe. If you look at this picture, do you notice that all of the big growth happens at the end? Well, that's actually how these 7 habits work too. This happens because you've built so much momentum and you have such a powerful base that you can reap massive rewards. The picture that you're now looking at is the exact roadmap to getting flexible faster. This is how you trigger the compound effect that the publisher of Success Magazine was talking about. Do you see the 1x, the 3x, the 10x? Do you see how the progress starts accelerating at the end? If you do just one of them, you can get real gains, which is exciting. But if you do another one and combine it with the first, they actually compound each other. And if you do all 7, this is when you get the really massive payoffs. This is how you 10x your flexibility. Now, that's not difficult to understand in theory, but how does that actually happen in reality? You may be a busy person with kids and responsibilities. How do you accomplish such a thing? Well, let me tell you how I did it. In 2011, I suffered a traumatic back injury due to my underlying FAI, or hip impingement. At first, I was devastated, but eventually I realized it was probably because I had never paid enough attention to stretching, foam rolling, or flexibility. I decided to take tissue work, habit 1, and stretching, habit 2, more seriously. I learned a few techniques and I started to feel better. This improvement helped me regain the hour or 2 per week that I had previously been spending immobilized by pain. I then reinvested this reclaimed time by going even deeper into the first 3 habits. I hired a coach to help me re-educate, habit 3, my posture and movement patterns. I also found a mentor, habit 7, who had been doing deep tissue massage therapy for 30 plus years. He taught me a very deep, focused, and intense form of self-myofascial release that I now call targeted tissue work. The combination of these 4 habits, habits 1, 2, 3, and 7, was the beginning of a breakthrough for me. After 24 months, I was feeling better than I could ever remember. With my newfound physical and psychological freedom, I continued to reinvest my time and energy into high-value areas, and I added more habits yet again. I started a mindfulness practice, habit 4, and began to really understand the power of systems and rituals, habit 5, and training partners, habit 6. I went from staring down the barrel of surgery to being able to do the splits. If you want to see how my hips move now, check out this video that I have here on my YouTube channel. The moral of the story is this: time and attention are precious, so we need to invest them wisely. We want to continually reinvest our time and attention into high leverage areas. These areas are the most time effective and will give us the biggest results. The 7 habits outlined earlier are these kind of high leverage areas. People who systematically and continually do this are the people we call successful. This is why the rich get richer and success breeds success, and to those that have, more will be given. This is also the secret to building a pain-free, flexible body 10 times faster. Can you now see how these habits could combine together for you to create a magnified result? Can you see the multiplying power of these 7 habits starting to compound in your own life? To see the transformation that's possible, look at one of my online students. Andre came to us with pretty severe hip impingement and range of motion restrictions, the picture on the left. He followed one of our online programs for 9 months, and the results are what you see above. Andre incorporated many, but not all, of the 7 habits and was able to make serious progress in 9 months. Oh, by the way, he also has a full-time job and a girlfriend. We've also had busy CEOs, stay-at-home moms, and everyone in between finding success no matter their starting point. Now, my path, or Andre's path, to the top of Mobility Mountain may not be your path. It's possible that you may have a different starting point. You may start your journey with stretching, habit 2, or training partners, habit 6, for example. The order is not important. What's important is that you strive to include all 7 habits and you give the compound effect time to work. If you decide to take a systems approach to flexibility by using our programs on GotRom.com, your path will begin with a menu of very specific 30 or 45-day routines from which to choose. If you've watched any of our 250 plus free YouTube videos, you've probably already sampled with a few of the tissue work, stretching, and re-education exercises that we show. This will give you experience with the first 3 habits of the TSR system. Now, as you may recall, TSR stands for Tissue Work, Stretching, and Reeducation. For those that are new to this TSR approach to flexibility and mobility, here are some of our best free videos on the Got Rom YouTube channel. These videos explain the first two habits, targeted tissue work and progressive stretching. Okay, so you now know the value in doing tissue work, stretching, and reeducation for your flexibility training. However, merely knowing is not enough. Only through practice will these become automatic, ingrained habits. So let's move on to habits 4 and 5, mindfulness and systems and rituals. These two habits are crucial for consistent long-term success. Without habits 4 and 5, your tissue work, stretching, and reeducation activities will plateau out. You'll be stuck at the lower base camps on Mobility Mountain for the rest of your life. But this isn't just about the physical practices that you're doing. It also involves your mind. Mindfulness is incredibly helpful on this journey. But what exactly is mindfulness anyway? Is it merely relaxation? Is it being in the now? I really didn't know until I spent 100+ hours meditating continuously over a 10-day period in 2012. From that experience, and many more since, I learned that the core of mindfulness is developing the skill of being focused and relaxed at the same time. In the context of flexibility training, mindfulness practice means focusing on the sensations in your body while remaining equanimous, aka relaxed. This means that while you do tissue work, stretching, or strengthening, you are aware of how each exercise feels in your body, and you remain calm and balanced, even when the sensations are intense. This is why advanced yoga masters never falter or freak out, even while doing difficult stretches or poses. They have trained their minds over years or even decades to always remain calm and balanced. Now, you don't have to run away and become a monk to experience the benefits of a mindfulness practice. Your mobility practice itself can be your mindfulness practice. Life can be a mindfulness practice. However, if it calls to you, a sitting meditation practice can be particularly potent. It can rewire your nervous system for deep relaxation and focus. And think about it. If you invested a few minutes a day in training your nervous system in this way, don't you think you'd become 2 to 3 times more effective in every mobility session? And can you imagine what would happen over 6 to 12 months as this effect compounded? You may be both mentally and physically more flexible, no? I want to give you one quick exercise so you can start feeling in your body the experiences of a mindfulness practice now. I call this exercise the body scan. Step 1. Set a timer for 5 minutes and lie on your back with your eyes closed. Step 2. Turn your awareness to the top of your head and slowly scan each area of your body part by part. First the head, then feel the face, feel the neck, the shoulders, etc. As you notice each area, part by part, try to relax or unclench or drop. Let go of tension in any areas that feel tight. Step 4. Go slow. Take about 2 minutes to survey the body from top to bottom. Step 5. Repeat the scan 2 or 3 times. But what about sitting meditation? First of all, if you want to learn the technique, physically how do you sit for sitting meditation, check out this video. So this is an extremely brief intro to a mindfulness technique. If you practice this skill daily for 5 minutes prior to your stretching, it will boost the effectiveness of your stretching practice 2 to 3 times. For a much more in-depth and transformative experience of mindfulness, visit dhamma.org to learn about free 10-day meditation retreats. I have attended around 30 of these retreats, including longer 20, 30, and 45-day retreats, and they've radically improved my flexibility practice and my life. I can't recommend them enough. Now let's turn to systems and rituals, habit number 5. The ultimate flexibility shortcut is a systematic approach such as the TSR system. It incorporates all 7 habits and turns them into a ritual that becomes automatic. The value in applying a systematic approach to flexibility training is that it gives you a framework to use whenever you hit a roadblock. Whenever your flexibility progress stalls, tweak one part of the system until the desired results are achieved. In other words, systems thinking takes the confusion out of flexibility training. Not getting the results you want? Which of the 7 habits needs tweaking? This is the power of systems thinking. There's a great quote that I love from Coach Summer, who's the former U.S. national team gymnastics coach. Coach Summer says, if the best in the world are stretching their asses off, why aren't you? I would add one little thing to what Coach Summer is saying, which is you don't just need to stretch your ass off, you need to TSR your ass off. But the lesson remains the same. What he's pointing to is paying your dues. There's no way around it. You've got to spend the time doing the work. Consistency times time equals results. So what's the best way of accumulating the required hours consistently? It's called ritualizing. A ritual is what turns an act into a habit. I call it ritualizing because this frames your new routine as a sacred ritual that you honor and protect from all distractions and interruptions. It's a mindset as well as an action. It means setting up the conditions of your life to support your new habit until it becomes effortless and automatic. When you set up the conditions of your life, coaches, training partners, accountability, you don't have to rely on sheer willpower anymore. This is profound because willpower is overrated. What we want is to create a habit so we don't have to rely on willpower. We do need willpower to get us started. However, the goal is to get into a flow state. In a flow state, a positive feedback loop energizes the process. It helps make it a habit. And you can think of forming a new habit as kind of like launching a rocket ship. At launch, the starting of a habit, a tremendous amount of fuel, willpower, is required. The goal of the rocket is to reach escape velocity, after which very little fuel is needed. Your goal is to press forward long enough with your new habit to reach escape velocity. It takes 30 to 60 days minimum to create a new habit, and sometimes longer for more complex habits. This is why all GOT-ROM flexibility and mobility programs span 30 or 45 days. The good news is when your routine becomes a habit, you won't have to worry about procrastinating. The practice will be ingrained. In summary, systems and rituals are critical to success. This is the big secret that elite athletes and top performers know. At the end of this video, you'll find a 10x your flexibility checklist that will help you install your own systems and rituals and launch you on your way. But for now, here are some best practice guidelines for installing a new ritual. 1. Dedicate the first 60 minutes of your day, ideally, to making yourself healthy and flexible. 2. Eliminate distractions and interruptions from family or work. 3. Choose the highest value flexibility and mobility exercises. You can try gotrom.com if you're not sure what to choose. 4. Do the exercises daily. 1 to 2 days off per week is acceptable. And 5, up the ante on consistency to make the gains inevitable. And that is what we're going to learn how to do now. It's time to introduce you to my favorite mental tool to guarantee your success. It's something I call inevitability thinking. Here's what you do. Ask yourself this question. What structures can I put in place to make my desired outcome inevitable? Said another way, how could I set up the conditions of my life so that the gains happen automatically? Look for the strongest incentives that motivate you to take action. For example, here are 3 things that majorly motivate most people to follow through on something. 1, money on the line. 2, accountability. And 3, social pressure. Pick your favorites, the ones that would most guarantee your success. Then do them. Bonus, how can you layer or stack multiple incentives to guarantee that you follow through? 2 of the best structures that you can put in place are the final 2 topics of this video. The first structure to put in place is literally a structure. Decide where you're going to do your daily routine. Your physical space can make or break adherence to your daily ritual. To optimize your flexibility dojo, ask yourself this question. What is the ideal physical space for you to practice? Think about it, meditate on it, dream about it. Now that you've envisioned your ideal space, let's get practical. Your physical space doesn't need to be an entire room, unless you have that option. But it's important that the area calls for ease of use, relaxation, and focus. So ask yourself, what needs to be removed from your current space in order to maximize your productivity? What needs to be added to maximize your productivity? This picture shows my mobility/meditation room. I started to get flexible at a faster rate when I dedicated a small area of my house completely to mobility work and meditation. At first, it was just a small section of one room, but now it's an entire room. It makes a huge difference to already have a yoga mat and a few tools laying out, waiting for me. Don't underestimate the psychological barrier of a room that's not ready to be used. Even the 30 to 60 seconds required to pull out the mat can deter you from actually following through with this daily practice. Now, let's talk about training partners. Anthony is a longtime friend and training partner of mine. Finding committed partners will be important for you too. Perhaps you've heard the old saying that goes something like this: you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. When it comes to training partners, habit 6, this is certainly true. If you want to be flexible, you should follow the 6th habit and surround yourself with flexible people, and then start helping each other get flexible faster. Such collaborations help pull you up to the next level. 80 to 90% of your success will flow from this one simple idea. Not only will you pick up new tips and tricks, but you can also help each other with assisted stretching and assisted myofascial release techniques. Finding a good training partner doesn't have to be complicated. Perhaps there's a guy in your gym who's obsessed with mobility. Go make friends with him. Take a yoga class or a mobility course in your area and find partners there. The key point is social pressure equals performance, so use it proactively. In addition to training partners, one of the absolute highest leverage things you can do is find a good mentor or a coach. As Sean Stevenson, the motivational speaker and author of The 3-Foot Giant, says, one good mentor can be more informative than a college education and more valuable than a decade's income. My Yoda, or primary mentor, is a guy named Phil Petachenko. I've also sought out dozens of other high-caliber teachers all around the world, online and in person. One-on-one coaching is the 7th and top habit for a reason. It is the crown jewel of the flexibility puzzle that will help you 10x your flexibility gains. Now, why can teachers be so valuable on your journey? A good teacher is someone who's already walked the path that you want to walk and can show you the way. They can also save you countless hours of frustration by pointing out the pitfalls and roadblocks that you're likely to encounter. Finding a mentor doesn't have to be difficult, especially in our digital age. There are many great teachers, and some are happy to correspond with students and even meet them in person or on Skype. Here's a list of some of the teachers I've personally learned from in no particular order: Pavel Tsatsouline, Thomas Kurz, Carl Valley, Matt Gardner, Phil Petachenko, Kit Laughlin, Kelly Starrett, Shan Shan, Dennis Dean, Carolyn Belko, Bradley Farrat, Eric Cressy, Ido Portal, the world-famous guru to Conor McGregor, and self-teaching. Actually, you are your own best teacher. If you just spend countless hours tinkering and experimenting, you'll learn more from that than almost anywhere else. Here's the moral of the story. Wisdom comes from multiple perspectives. Find a teacher you resonate and start following their program. Leverage their years of experience to accelerate your own progress and get flexible in record time. Here's the last thing. Remember that the journey to the peak of Mobility Mountain happens step by step as you install and sustain new habits. Keeping your habits alive and well can be hard. Sometimes a storm hits Mount Everest and stops you in your tracks. In such moments, it's important to have a plan of action. To help you create a plan of action to weather the inevitable storms, I've put together one final gift for you as the last part of this video. Here you will find the 10x your flexibility checklist. If you need to take a picture of it, print it out, write it down, do so. Fill in the action steps to guarantee your success. Take action, make sure the next 30 days count, and remember, good things happen to those who work their asses off. I'll see you in the next video.